Just to introduce myself, I'm John Thompson, for those of you who don't know me of old. I should declare at the outset that I'm not a landscape architect, but I am, along with, I know, most, if not, certainly many, if not most of my fellow citizens, very interested in and committed to the cause of landscape. I used to be, for many years, the director in SNH with responsibility for landscape policy. And in that capacity, I was involved in the sorely missed Scottish Landscape Forum and in the development of Scotland's Landscape Charter, which we all hope, I think, will get a new lease of life sometime before too long. On the theme of today's event, I think it is absolutely appropriate that we are talking about trees. It's entirely right that that should be the theme of the first of these events to be held in Scotland. It's particularly fitting because it fits nicely with the idea of looking forward. Trees are, of their nature, very long-lived organisms. Even the quick-growing commercial species require planning on the sort of timescale that we're just not accustomed to in most of our day-to-day life. Even economic and social decisions, let alone the sort of political time horizon, is just that much shorter. So they are quite a challenge for us, even in the best of times. But we're obviously not in the best of times at the moment in terms of the uncertainties that surround trees and their health in the future. Globalization and climate change are both increasing the uncertainties and the complexities that we have to grapple with in thinking about the planting and management of trees. Everybody's very focused at the moment on the Ebola scare to human health from West Africa. We're seeing exactly the same sort of phenomenon in relation to tree health. To help us get our minds around these issues, which are fiendishly difficult but critically important, we have a varied and distinguished panel of speakers. They approach the topic from a number of different angles, from that of the professional forester to that of the landscape designer. Between them, I'm sure they'll give us much to think about. There will be an opportunity to ask questions and make comments about all the individual presentations immediately afterwards. But as you'll have seen from the programme, the main opportunity for broader discussion comes at the end of the day. The scene for today's discussion was to have been set by somebody who combines a land manager's practical experience of planting and managing trees with an extensive involvement in the development of public policy on forestry and tree planting. Most recently as chair of the Scottish Government's Woodland Expansion Advisory Panel, Andrew Barber. But as most, if not all of you will already heard, Andrew unfortunately can't be with us today owing to his father's ill health. As you can imagine, his late withdrawal was a source of some concern, both to me and particularly to Rebecca Hughes, who organised today's event as the Policy and Development Officer for the Landscape Institute in Scotland. But fortunately, Phil Mulligan, who is the Chief Executive of the Landscape Institute, was down to be with us today and has nobly volunteered to step into Andrew's shoes. So, without further ado, I'm sure you will join me in expressing sympathy to Andrew Barber for the family event, which means he can't be with us, but join me in thanking Phil for coming and standing in his place. So thank you very much, Phil.
Thanks very much. I'm not a landscape architect either, but I am passionate about trees and have been all my life. Many years ago, I was volunteering for the Conservation Volunteers, the National Trust, on practical environmental projects, and I planted many, many trees, including the 2 millionth tree, which at the time was part of the TCV, or BTCV as it was then, project. We planted it twice because the celebrity who planted it didn't have a clue, and as soon as the cameras had gone, we dug it up and replanted it, so it's probably almost 2 million and one there. I'm now on the board of the Conservation Volunteers, so I'm involved very much in the issues of conservation and trees. I run the Landscape Institute, and we had a conversation with our members, and some of you here are our members and may have taken part in this, but we had a conversation with our members over the last year or so on what they thought the challenges facing the profession are and what the future challenges for landscape are. And out of that conversation with the members, it led to this Landscape Futures lecture series, and phase one of that took place. We went to Sheffield, we went to Bristol, we went to Birmingham, we went to Cambridge, taking topical issues and discussing them. And I'm not going to tell you what was said at each of those events, because if you've seen Landscape Journal, the last recent copy of that, in the back of here there's a very good account of that whole Landscape Futures lecture series, and it's on the website as well, so do look at that. But phase two of the Landscape Futures lecture series then came to the nation's capitals, and that's nations with the apostrophe S. It could have been S apostrophe, but we now know that it's apostrophe S. So we're here in Scotland, we're in Edinburgh, we're going to Cardiff next, then we're going to Belfast, and we're going to finish in London. And that event will take all the things that we've learnt from all of these events and really engage with educationalists about the training and education of the next generation of landscape practitioners. Jonathan Porritt spoke at our first Landscape Futures event in Sheffield, and he just threw down the gauntlet to us, and he challenged us. Are we educating people on the basis of what we know and about what we've been doing, or are we educating them for the challenges that are coming over the next 20 or 30 years? So we're going to have the culmination event, taking all that we've learnt on these events and talk to the people who from universities are responsible for educating the next generation. Now, many of these Landscape Futures lecture series events have been organised or working with the branches, our Landscape Institute branches. It's only when we come to Scotland, of course, that we're in such a fantastic, prestigious venue, so close to the Parliament, and such a cross-section of people here, many people who are not landscape architects or members of the Landscape Institute, and that's fantastic, and I commend the Scottish branch in being able to organise an event that can draw a wide range of people together, because obviously the challenges of pests and diseases, as with many other landscape challenges, they need to be addressed in a multidisciplinary way. So it's good to see so many different people here. We have just jointly sponsored a publication that some of you may have seen called Trees in a Hard Landscape. That's been put together by the Trees TDAG, the Trees and Design Action Group. So we're jointly responsible for that. So do look at that. That's a very technical document which supports using trees in a hard landscape. And you know, just to pick up on that point about Ebola being in the news, I was at our technical committee yesterday and I saw a Forestry Commission map showing the Chalara outbreaks dotted on the UK map, and if that was Ebola, there would be a completely different response. Now, I know they're different issues, but human health depends on the health of trees and plants, and that's where the relationship is. So I'm really grateful to be here at this event, and I'm looking forward to hearing the speakers. Thank you very much.